But the problem is that our healing is not something that we can just conceptualize, and we can't not just say, okay, so I understand that that was an issue and I'm going to be fine now and I'm not going to have any issues anymore. I'm stronger than that and I'm just going to move on, right? This is a mental practice, okay? But what I want you to understand is that any type of trauma, #narc abuse, that's a common one. Any type of trauma that we experienced, it's stuck in our bodies, okay? So our emotions are in our bodies. And a lot of people don't understand that. I've seen a lot of different quotes where it says, I've decided that it's time for me to get rid of my trauma. My mind is saying it's done, right? And we can tell ourselves, hi Cassandra, how are you? We can tell ourselves these things all day long. But if we don't first understand where our trauma resides, we're not gonna be able to properly get on this journey of healing. So first of all, I just want to put that out there, that whenever you experience something traumatic, and I'll just bring up some examples, and these are the things that most of us need some type of healing from, right? So there is mental abuse / emotional abuse, there is physical abuse, there is sexual abuse, there is like here, narcissistic abuse, which has a combination of all of them, right? There's, did I say sexual abuse? There is also domestic violence. That is also something traumatic, right? There are accidents and natural disasters. There are also things like war. Like I myself, I escaped the war. Well, I was little, but my family took me and we fled to a different country because of war. That is trauma that accumulated in my parents, that also got into my mother's womb, that affected me. Hi Laura, how are you? Good day, good day. Happy to have you here. So we have to consider all these things. And when you really look at the experts, they often say that we don't have to go back to the past. We don't have to go back into those events to heal. And although this is true, because why? Because the trauma is in our body, we cannot, and again, in our mind, go back in time and try to redo what happened to us. There is no way we can go back to the past to fix it. And there's just this struggle of, I wish I could just go back in time and do something differently. I wish I could go time and pull my mom away from my dad. Or I wish I could go back in time and leave that toxic relationship earlier. I wish I could go back in time, right? So we're up in our heads so much, criticizing ourselves, feeling shame, feeling guilt, and feeling all kinds of things, again, in our bodies, but having this negative self-talk with ourselves because we developed so many different beliefs as a result of what we experienced, and especially in our childhoods. And I'll just give you a brief example. Hi, Monica. Hi. So they always say that any trauma, any traumatic event really impacts us, but it's really the experiences as a child, as when we were children, that really weigh the heaviest. I'm losing my words because I'm trying to say some Swedish words. For everyone who's like new to my page and you've never met me before, I'm originally from Europe and I have 3 languages in my head, so it kind of gets funny sometimes. The things that we experienced as children were really, really detrimental to us because we looked at our parents, we looked at our legal guardians expecting this protection. We desire the love, we desire the affection, and especially the attachment, right? This is a big reason why a lot of us, we get really confused and we start attracting toxic relationships. We don't know what's best for us. We disconnect from like our inner guidance system and we don't know what's best for us because we did not get the attachment that we needed as children, right? And this leads to that we develop like a different personality. Like a lot of us have different personalities, and I know that it's something that we just joke about, but in reality, we adapt, right? We adapt to our environment because of what we went through as children. Monica said, I know the struggle. Absolutely, absolutely. So it's, for me, let me just share this. For me, it was important for me to go back in time. Like I said, a lot of the experts, they always say, well, you don't have to go back in time. For me, it was beneficial to go back in time and see, okay, so what was it that hurt me so bad? Because I was almost losing my mind, because I was at a place where I was constantly crying. I used to say that I was extremely sad, but with all the research I'm doing now, I firmly believe that I was depressed. I was always in the state of unhappiness. Nobody knew, nobody could tell. I was always the person who was helping everybody else, and nobody knew what was actually going on with me. I had everything on the outside. I had the best grades. I had a great job. I could have anybody I wanted in terms of dating, but I still had this emptiness inside of me. And so for me, it was beneficial to go back. And so then when I work with my clients, we go back a little bit, but we don't go back and dig there. Like, I don't ask you for exact details about how it made you feel and what it did to you, so you have to relive it, because our body still remembers, right? So it's important to remember that your body still remembers all those different events that happened to you, right? But it can be beneficial to remember whether you were always in a freeze mode or freeze state, if you were always trying to fight back, or if you ran away, or if you just, like I say, you just freezed up. Like, it's important to remember those things, because maybe that's how you're showing up today in your life. Maybe that's how you're showing up in your business. You're always in this place of, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Right? So that is the reason why I think it's important for us to know, okay, so what is it that happened to me? And in what way did it impact me? How did that skew my perception of me? How did that affect the way that I see my worth, right? How am I standing firm to my boundaries? Am I setting the standards that I want to have, right? Are my desires able to manifest in my life, or am I always getting what I don't want? Okay, it's a great place to start, to look at what is it that I need healing from? What is it that happened to me? How did that affect me? Okay, and when we start there, we can go back and get some information. And once we pull that information in terms of what it made you think about, what beliefs you developed, what your body language was like, or what it created inside of you. Once we gather that information, it's not that we have to continue to go back in time and go back in time and go back in time. This is what a lot of people do in talk therapy, for example. And I have so many clients who come to me and say, well, I need some help because I've been to therapy for like 3 years and I'm still in the same place. We just continue to talk about my pains and it's just making it worse, right? And this is the reason why, because every time you talk about it, it's going to bring up the emotions, right? Whereas if we can figure out what it was, what it did to us, and how it affected us, now we can see, okay, so how can we work through these emotions? How can I work on changing my beliefs, right? How can I work on actually getting to a place where I'm feeling better about myself, right? Because it's going to show, right? The things that we're needing healing from, it's going to show up in our life, period, point blank.